So let's first offer our respects to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? We finished chapter number
10.
We finished chapter number 10. So we saw how Krishna describes his opulences to Arjuna upon Arjuna's request. And we finished the previous chapter with this shloka where Krishna, he says, after he describes his opulences, part of his opulences, some of his opulences, he says, what need is there, Arjuna, for this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So he says, what is the need for all this detailed knowledge? What's the bottom line? That just with a single fragment, he is pervading and supporting this entire universe. So now Arjuna is going to make a request in the next chapter, where he says that he expresses his desire to see that form of the Lord by which he is pervading and supporting this entire universe. So this is what leads to Arjuna making that request, and then Krishna shows his universal form or the Virat Roop. But before Arjuna makes this request in the next chapter, he first acknowledges what Krishna spoke in the beginning of this chapter. Here in the beginning, Krishna said that for your benefit, I shall speak. So Arjuna, in the beginning of the next chapter, he first acknowledges that, yes, I have benefited by what you have spoken. So this is our connecting verse to the next chapter and the next shloka. Okay. Before that, please repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so today we will be beginning chapter 11 titled The Universal Form. As we said, this is the third longest chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It has a total of 55 verses. But before we begin this chapter, we need to know what is the benefit of reading, reciting, learning, hearing this particular chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So these are histories from the Gita Mahatmya spoken by Lord Shiva to Goddess Parvati. So Lord Shiva tells Goddess Parvati, first of all, he tells her that it's not possible to relate all the glories of chapter 11. he says that there are thousands of stories, but I will relate only one. So then he goes on to narrate this history. He says, on the banks of the river Pranita, in a town called Megankara, there is a temple called Jagat Ishvara. And there was a Brahmin called Sunanda, who was a Naishtika Brahmachari. Who's a Naishtika Brahmachari? A Naishtika Brahmachari is a very strict Brahmachari. He is a Brahmachari who has not spilled even one drop of semen from birth. So the Sunanda is a Naishtika Brahmachari, and every day he sits in front of the Lord and he recites the 11th chapter of the Bhagawad Gita. And by doing so, he is able to control his senses. Now, once he goes on a tour visiting holy places on the banks of the Godavari River, and as he was going to these different holy places, he reaches a town called Vivian Mandela. And here in Vivian Mandela, he stays at a dharamshala, and he's not alone. He's along with his other devotee friends. So they have gone in a group there and they have stayed in a dharamshala in a place called Vivian Mandela. Now, in the morning when he woke up, he could not trace any of his friends, any of his associates. So he goes in search of them and he's not able to find them. Finally, he comes across the headman of the town, the leader, and he asks him about his friends, where could they be? So the headman says that, I don't know where they are, but I fall at your feet because there is no devotee who is equal to you or who is as pure as you are. The headman is telling this to Sunanda. And then he requests Sunanda to please stay in this village and I will make all arrangements for your comfortable stay. So Sunanda agrees to this request and he stays in this place for a few more days. Now, after staying there for 8 days, there is this person who comes to him of a villager comes to Sunanda and he's crying and he's telling him that my son has been eaten by a Rakshasa last night. So please help me, please save him. Now Sunanda is like, now what is this all about? Please tell me in detail what's going on. So now he starts to narrate the story of the Rakshasa. The villager is telling the story to Sunanda about the Rakshasa. So he says that this Rakshasa used to indiscriminately eat the residents of the town. The villagers approached the Rakshasa and said that let's reach a compromise. You do not eat the residents of our village indiscriminately. Instead, we will arrange for your food. So the Rakshasa agrees, and the villagers decide that what they will do is whoever comes to stay in that dharamshala, those people will be offered to the Rakshasa as food. So so now we know where did the associates of Sunanda disappear. One second, let me. Okay. So because the Sunanda and the associates stayed in the Dharamshala, therefore they were eaten by the Rakshasa. They were staying in the Dharamshala, remember? So now we know where they disappeared. So anyway, then this villager continues to tell the story to Sunanda, and he says that last night my son's friend had come to visit the village and he asked me where can I stay, and I sent him to stay at the Dharamshala without knowing that he is a friend of my son. When the son came to know that his friend has gone there, he wanted to save his friend's life, so therefore he also went to the Dharamshala. And my son also was eaten by that Rakshasa because he was also there at the Dharamshala. Now, then later the villager, he goes to the Rakshasa and he says, you please return my son. We had this understanding that you will not eat the residents of the village, only the people of the Dharamshala you will eat. And my son is a resident of this village. So please return my son. He tells the demon, the Rakshasa. So then now the demon says, okay, I can release him, but I will release him only if you release me from the body of this Rakshasa. Okay, how can I release you from the body of the Rakshasa? He asks, and he says that one who recites every day the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, if he comes here and he sprinkles some water on me, then only I will be freed from the body of this Rakshasa. So the villager said, oh yes, there is such a person in town. He has arrived and he is here with us in this village. So I will bring him. So therefore now this villager has come to take Sunanda. Now Sunanda wants to know, what did this Rakshasa do to get the body of a Rakshasa? So the villager now tells another story. He says, long ago there was a farmer who lived here and he was working on the fields. And there was another person walking by and a vulture attacks this other person. Now this farmer, although he is close to the villager and he could have rushed, if he would have rushed, he could have saved this other person in time, but he does not run or go and try and save this person. There was another yogi who was walking past during this incident and he rushed towards this person to save his life, but it was too late. He was not able to save him and therefore this person lost his life. Now this yogi was very upset that this farmer did not run in time and save this other person. So therefore he curses him. He says that you did not save this person, so I curse that in your next life you will become a Rakshasa. Now this person says that actually I'm very tired. I've been working in the fields all day and I'm totally exhausted. That's the reason why I was not able to run and save this person. So then the yogi tells him, all right, then in that case, you will be freed from the demon of the Rakshasa. If somebody who's chanting the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita every day comes and sprinkles some water on your head. Okay, so now that Sunanda knows the background, eventually he goes to the place where this Rakshasa is there and he does the needful. And then the Rakshasa, he attains a 4-armed Vishnu form along with all the thousands of other people whom he had eaten. A Vaikuntha airplane descends and all of them board the Vaikuntha airplane. Now the villager says, but hold on, wait a minute. Where is my son? He wants to know because remember he wanted his son back. So he asks the Rakshasa, where is my son? So then the Rakshasa, he laughs and he points out to one of those thousands of people and he says, this particular person, this is your son. So the villager tells his son, let's go home, come with me. Now the son, he tells his father that many lifetimes I was your son, many lifetimes you were my son, and we have been in the cycle of birth and death. But now because of the mercy of Sunanda, I have been released from the cycle of birth and death. And you also learn the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita from Sunanda so that you can also come out of the cycle of birth and death. So then Lord Shiva tells to Parvati, let's read. So who would like to read today?
I can do if nobody wants to.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. So you would like to read the other text or the translations?
Can I read Mataji?
Yes. So Shreya and Srihari Radha Mataji can do the reading together. So one of you can read the other text and one of you can read the translation. What would you like to read?
Is this the translation?
No, this is the other text. Translation is the translation of the shlokas.
Oh, okay. I can read this.
Okay. So Shreya, you can do the translations, please. Thank you.
Palashruti, Lord Shiva said after speaking those words, full of wisdom to his father along with all those other fortunate souls. He went to Vaikuntha and his father learned the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita from Sunanda, and very soon they also went to Vaikuntha. My dear Parvati, you have heard the glories of the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is capable of destroying all sinful reactions. Gita Mahatma chapter 11. Hare Krishna.
So this is the benefit or the Falashruti of reading, learning, reciting, hearing the 11th chapter. It is capable of destroying all sinful reactions and can take one very soon to Vaikuntha. So this 11th chapter is in this 11th chapter, we will be seeing that which is not been described anywhere else across any religion. And even within Vaishnavism, with any other personality. In Christianity, there is a description of how Jesus Christ would have conversations with God, his Father, but there is no description of a vision of what he exactly saw. Even in Islam, there is a description of how Prophet Muhammad ascended to the higher planets and he saw the Lord, But what exactly he saw, that description is not available. So here we are going to see a description of actually a vision of what Arjuna actually saw when Krishna showed him the universal form or the Virat rope. So this is not there in any other religion, and even within Vaishnavism, it's not there with any other personality. So this is a very unique chapter. Okay, let's read this connection.
So connection between chapter 10 and chapter 11. After hearing Krishna's words in chapter 10, that with a single fragment of myself I pervade and support the entire universe. 10.42 Arjun wishes to see that all pervasive form of the Lord. Although Krishna is driving Arjun's chariot, he pervades and supports the entire universe. Arjun therefore wishes to see Krishna's all-pervading form. Thus, after two introductory verses, Arjun asks Krishna to reveal his universal form. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this way we've already discussed how Arjuna now wants to see the form, how Krishna is pervading the entire universe. Because Arjuna says that Krishna is on my chariot, he is driving my chariot, and how is it that he's pervading the entire universe? So therefore he makes this request. So this chapter is divided into 7 sections. We begin with the first section where Arjuna makes the request. And then in section 2, we see these verses where Krishna himself is describing what he is going to show to Arjuna. So before Arjuna is shown the universal form, Krishna describes it to prepare Arjuna for what he is going to see, what to expect, right? So Krishna describes his universal form, and then he shows the universal form. Then we have Sanjaya describing the universal form to Arjuna. This is the only time when Sanjaya makes his appearance in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. What we saw Sanjaya speaking was previously in chapter 1 and 2, and then he is going to speak at the end in the 18th chapter, in the last chapter of the Gita. So this is the only place where he speaks in the middle, right? So Sanjaya makes his appearance here, and he describes what Arjuna is seeing. And then Arjuna himself describes what he is seeing. So there are three people giving a description of that universal form. Therefore, some points appear to be repetitive in this section. Then comes section 5, where Krishna says that I am time, and he tells Arjuna, just be my instrument. So very important lesson for all of us there also. When we get there, we will see. Then Arjuna offers prayers, and finally, the last section, the conclusion of this chapter. So we will see this as we go there. Section 1, let's read.
Arjun's request. Arjun requests Krishna to show him the all-pervading universal form.
Okay, so let's hear the shloka.
अथैकादशोऽध्यायः अर्जुन उवाच मदनुग्रहाय परमं गुह्यमध्यात्मसंज्ञितं यत्त्वयोक्तं वचस्तेन मोहोऽयं विगतो मम.
Translation. Arjun said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled.
So before Arjuna makes a request to show the universal form, he first acknowledges that, yes, Krishna, my illusion has now been dispelled. So because Krishna said that I speak this for your benefit, now he's saying how he has been benefited. He's saying that my illusion has now gone. And he also acknowledges Krishna's grace in hearing the opulences and the instructions of Krishna, because he says, you have kindly given me the instructions, you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects. So 9th chapter was most confidential knowledge. In 10th chapter, Krishna says, I will give you knowledge which is even more than what you have already heard, right? So that was the middle section of the Gita, the most confidential chapters. So now he's saying that you have kindly given me. So he acknowledges Krishna's grace in receiving this knowledge, and he says how he has been benefited. My illusion has now gone. What is the illusion that most people have about God or about Krishna is that Krishna is an ordinary human being. Although he has come in a human like form, it appears that he's an ordinary human being. He's stealing butter and he's joking and playing and all that stuff. Still, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So some people have this illusion. Most people have this illusion that Krishna is an ordinary human being. Another misconception people have about God, either they think God is an ordinary human being, or they will think an ordinary human being is God. This is another problem with most of the human population. An ordinary human being, they will say that this person is God. So now Arjuna is saying that all my illusion has gone. Okay, 11.2.
भवाप्ययौ हि भूतानां श्रुतौ विस्तरशो मया त्वत्तः कमलपत्राक्ष माहात्म्यमपि चाव्ययम्.
O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories.
By what name is Arjuna addressing Krishna here?
Lotus-eyed one.
Lotus-eyed one. So what's the Sanskrit?
Kamalapatraksha.
Yes.
Kamala-nayanam, Kamala-patraksham.
Yes, exactly. Kamala Patraksha. So he's saying lotus-eyed one. This is a very, very sweet way of addressing Krishna, very intimate. So Arjuna is feeling very happy. He's feeling very joyful. And therefore, he is addressing Krishna in this very sweet way, Kamala Patraksha. Previously, in the previous chapter, we saw Arjuna's realizations. No, he's calling him Param Brahma. He's calling him Param Dhama. He called him Adi Devam when he was hearing the opulences of Krishna. But Kamala Patraksha is a very sweet way, very intimate way of addressing the Lord. And he says that he has realized the inexhaustible glories of Krishna. So Krishna said that I will only tell you some of my opulences because they are ananta, they are inexhaustible, they will never end. There is no beginning, no middle, and no end. So he's also acknowledging that yes, your glories are inexhaustible, they are avyayam. And he says that I have heard from you about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity. So Krishna has explained how he is the beginning, the middle, and the end of every living entity, and everything in the universe, everything animate and inanimate also is coming from Krishna. So therefore, Arjuna is saying that yes, now I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity.
एवमेतद्यथाथत्वम् आत्मानं परमेश्वर द्रष्टुमिच्छामि ते रूपम् ऐश्वरं पुरुषोत्तम.
O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours.
So now Arjuna is putting forth his request. And what does he say? Evam etat yathatha tvam. As you have described, so you are. So now he's saying that now I want to see that form of yours, how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. And he's calling him as Parameshwar, and he's also calling him as Purushottam. Why he's calling him as Purushottam, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that Krishna is the best of all personalities. He is also in the heart of every living entity. In the same way, he is also in the heart of Arjuna, and he will understand why Arjuna wants to see this form. Because usually a devotee, a pure devotee, is not interested in seeing this universal form of the Lord. Neither is Krishna interested in showing this universal form to his devotees. Both parties are not interested, but still Arjuna wants to see this form. This form, why a devotee is not interested in seeing is because this universal form is, you cannot have an intimate relationship with the universal form of the Lord. This form is covering everything. The Arjuna was not even able to see the sky. So it's so huge, and there are thousands and thousands of forms and colors and helmets and clubs. We'll see the description later. So how is it possible to have an intimate relationship with this universal form? How is it possible to even embrace? If you want to embrace, how will you embrace? If you want to offer obeisances, in which direction you will offer obeisances? Because this universal form is in all sides, all directions, covering everything. So therefore, a pure devotee is not interested in seeing this universal form. Neither is Krishna interested in displaying this universal form. But Arjuna, he says that because you are in my heart, you will be able to understand why I want to see this form. Why does Arjuna request Krishna to show this universal form? One is to establish Krishna's divinity for everyone, so that everybody can see Krishna's divinity. Point 2, let's read this. Point 2.
To establish Krishna's divinity for all, 11.1 purport to convince others, although he does not have any personal desire and is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form of Krishna. 11.3 purport. Lord is addressed as Purushottam implies that the Lord as Supreme Personality of Godhead knows the heart of Arjuna, that he has no personal desire to see. 11.3 purport.
So to convince others, somebody else may say, oh yes, Krishna said something, but why should I agree? So to convince others, he requests Krishna to show this universal form. Point 3.
To avoid imposters, what wants to set a criteria for in the future, there will be so many imposters who will post as incarnations of God. 11.3.
So Arjuna knows that Kali Yuga is right round the corner. It's going to begin very soon. The day Krishna left the planet, Kali Yuga started. So he knows that in this Kali Yuga, there are going to be many people who are going to claim to be God or claim to be incarnations of God. Therefore, to set a criteria, all right, anybody in the future, if they are going to say the same thing that Krishna said, that I am God, then they are going to have to prove it by showing the universal form. So he's going to set this criteria. We know how in Kali Yuga, we see so many people claiming that they are Kalki avatar, for example. But there are, we know from Bhagavatam that Kalki avatar is going to appear at the end of Kali Yuga, which is still several years away. The total duration of Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, of which we have crossed only 5,000 years. So 427,000 years more to go before we are near the end of Kali Yuga. But already there are so many people who claim that they are the Kalki avatar, and there is not one or two, but many. And I was told that there was a TV program where they invited all these people who claim to be Kalki avatars. They brought them together on one stage. And then each one was saying, no, I am Kalki avatar, I am Kalki avatar. And then there was an argument over there. And this is how they were having fun. So in order to avoid imposters, this is Arjuna's third reason. One more reason, let's read.
Arjun, as a responsibility, wants to substantiate Krishna's statement so that in the future people can understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically but actually presented himself as such to Arjun. Arjun fulfills his responsibility because he is the beginning of the parampara. 1.8 purport. Hare Krishna.
So we know in the 4th chapter, when Krishna told Arjuna that he is re-speaking this Bhagavad Gita to him because the previous disciplic succession was broken. This Gita was originally spoken with the sun god, and now a new disciplic succession is beginning with Arjuna, and he's the first recipient. So in order to fulfill his duties, he tells Krishna, okay, please kindly show me that universal form. Why? Because he wants to prove that Krishna not only talks, but he also proves what he has spoken. He walks the talk. So these are Arjuna's reasons why he is requesting Krishna to show him the universal form. Otherwise, actually, Arjuna is not interested in this universal form because he's a pure devotee.
मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया द्रष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानमव्ययम्.
If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self.
So here is a request, and Arjuna's humility comes across loud and clear. So because what does he say? If he says, if you think that I'm able to behold. So he says that if you think I'm qualified, then he says, kindly show me. So Arjuna is making a request in all humility. And he says that, please show me if you think that I am qualified. And by what name does Arjuna refer to Krishna here? How does he address Krishna?
Yogeshwar.
Yogeshwar.
Yogeshwar, yes. Yogeshwar means he is a master of all mystic power. Now, this form of Krishna is not his original form. It's not that he is residing in this universal form in some planet. Because he is Yogeshwar, he is a master of all mystic power. He can manifest any form on the spot. That's why he's referring to him as Yogeshwarya. Because you are Yogeshwar, then I kindly request you to please manifest that if you think that I am qualified. So we see how Arjuna is making a request and he waits for the request to be fulfilled. So humility begs and waits. On the other side, pride demands and blames. We see how many people, when they go to the temple and they have a desire, they make a demand to the Lord. Okay, fulfill this, and then I will do this in exchange. And if the desire is not fulfilled, then we start blaming. Oh, but I did so much tapasya, I gave so much donation. Still, why my desire is not fulfilled? So then we start to blame. And then a neighbor may tell us, you know what, I did so and so vrata, and then my desire was fulfilled. So immediately we will switch and we will go and do something else to please some other god. So all this comes from pride. Pride demands and blames, but humility begs and waits. So we see how Arjuna's humility comes across in this verse. Also, we have to see that, understand that Krishna is completely independent. He's completely Swarat. There is nothing that Krishna has to do. We cannot say that, okay, I am a pure devotee, so therefore Krishna, you have to do this for me. No, still Krishna is completely independent. He doesn't have to do anything. If he wants, by his mercy, he can favor his devotees, but he doesn't have to do it. We cannot put him under a set of rules and regulations. He's completely independent. So now we will start section 2. Let's read this.
11.8 Krishna's description of the universal form. Krishna first describes his universal form and then bestows upon Arjuna the vision necessary to see it.
Okay, let's see.
श्रीभगवानुवाच पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोथसहस्रशः नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतीनि च.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjun, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine and multicolored forms.
So now Krishna is going to describe the universal form before he can actually show it, to prepare Arjuna as to what to expect. So what is he saying? That in this form, there are hundreds of thousands of. So Shatasho ta Sahasrasha, hundreds and thousands of what? Nana Vidani, many varieties. Divyani, divine what? Varna and Akriti, colors and forms. So this is what Arjuna is going to see. Hundreds and thousands of different varieties of divine forms and colors.
पश्यादित्यान् वसून् रुद्रान् अश्विनौ मरुतस्तथा बहून्यदृष्टपूर्वाणि पश्याश्चर्याणि भारत.
O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before.
So what is he going to show him? He says that here you will see all the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumars, and all the other demigods. How many Adityas are there? We saw in the previous class.
Is it 100?
No. Adityas are the sons of
Aditi.
Aditi, yes. How many Adityas we have? Did we mention this in the previous class or no? I don't remember.
We discussed about Adityas and Diti sons, but I don't remember if we discussed how many were there.
The number. Okay, so we have 12 Adityas. The 12th Aditya was? Who was the 12th Aditya?
Was it Vaman?
Yes, Vamana Dev. Okay.
Vaman.
So he says that you can see here Adityas, Vasus. How many Vasus are there?
12.
8. 8 Vasus, and we know Bhishma Dev was a Vasu in his previous lifetime.
Yeah.
And he was cursed. How many Rudras are there? 11. 11 Rudras. Ashwini Kumars are 2, the twin lords of health, and all the other demigods. How many demigods are there?
33 crore.
43 crore, yeah.
Yes,
33
33
crore.
crores, yes. So all these personalities, Krishna is going to show Arjuna in that one form. So he says that this is Ashcharyani. It's a very wonderful sight. Ashcharyani. Why? Because imagine just to see one of these personalities is a big deal. No, if you personally can see an Aditya, a Vasu, a Rudra, Ashwini Kumar, or any Devata personally face to face, that means you are an advanced personality. You're not an ordinary human being. But here Arjuna is going to see all of them together in that one form. Therefore, Krishna says, Ashcharyani, this is a very wonderful form that you are going to see. Okay, how many people have seen this universal form that Krishna is going to show before?
Yashoda? Yashoda?
Okay. Anybody else wants to answer? We'll keep your answer on hold. Shreya.
Shiva and Parvati, when this form was being shown, I think Shiva, Parvati, and the demigods were seen.
Yeah, no. When this form was showed, many demigods and other residents of the higher planetary systems, they all saw the form. But before Krishna showed this universal form, how many people saw it is the question.
I
Before-
think I take my answer back. I don't think so.
No one
Yashoda saw the
this form.
universal
I
form
think
because
no one saw this form. I
yeah,
think Arjun was the first one. I'm not sure. He said to Arjun, "You were the first one who has seen this form before or after," something like this. He has.
Yeah, the answer is
What
in this
becomes-
very verse we have the answer. Because see, look at the last line of the translation.
Ah,
Krishna
no
says,
one has ever seen.
Yeah, no one.
exactly. So no one has ever seen this universal form. But yes, Krishna has displayed a universal form previously. But that universal form is not the same as this universal form. Because this universal form, Krishna shows the Kala Roop, which we will see in detail later. This Kala Rupa was not there in the other universal forms. So that is the difference. Okay. But yes, he did show a universal form to Yashoda, as Shreya said. And any more additions to the list?
when he went for as a peace messenger.
Yes, when he went as a peace messenger to Hastinapur. Okay. Two. Do we have a third occasion?
Can you give us a guess or a clue?
It's there in the Krishna book. Krishna showed a universal form 3 times before this. So
Oh,
one,
yes, yes. Oh, Yashoda, when she opened his mouth when he was eating mud.
yeah, when he was eating mud, that Shreya already said. There is,
Can you give us some guesses?
okay, it was Yashoda again who saw a universal form of Krishna. When was this? Other than that mud story, earth story, one more time she saw.
Damodar month.
No, that was not a universal form.
In Braj?
Yes. Yeah, Yashoda and Krishna as Vrindavan. But when?
Oh, yes, in the jail.
No, not in the jail. Jail is not Vrindavan. Jail is Mathura, and that was Devaki, and that was not a universal form. That was a
Oh,
400.
Mataji, I'm so curious. Can you give us some guesses?
Okay, let's read. Let's read this.
Okay. Yashoda saw the whole universe within the mouth of her child. Bhagavad 10:7. Text 34. One day, Mother Yashoda, having taken Krishna up and placed him on her lap, was feeding him milk from the breast with maternal affection. This milk was flowing from her breast and the child was drinking it. Text 35 to 36. O King Parishad, when the child Krishna was almost finished drinking his mother's milk and Mother Yashoda was touching him and looking at his beautiful, brilliantly smiling face, the baby yawned and Mother Yashoda saw in his mouth the whole sky, the higher planetary systems and the earth, the luminaries in all directions, the sun, the moon, first air, fire, air, and seas, islands, mountains, rivers, forests, and all kinds of living entities moving and unmoving. Text 37. When Mother Yashoda saw the whole universe within the mouth of her child, her heart began to throb, and in astonishment, she wanted to close her restless eyes. So here we go. She gives us when she was feeding him breast milk and she was seeing his smiling face. At that time, she saw.
Exactly. So this was one time, and then the other 2 times we have already discussed. So something like this she saw. So she has seen all the planetary systems, the earth, sun, moon, fire, seas, islands, all these things she has seen in her son's mouth. But then she wanted to close her restless eyes. Why? Because again, Mother Yashoda is a pure devotee, and pure devotees are not interested in seeing this universal form. For Yashoda, it doesn't matter whether Krishna is God or no. For her, Krishna is my son. That's her first thing, that Krishna is my son. He may be God or not God. That's not on her mind. She's not interested in that. For her, Krishna is my Lala. Okay, second time, let's read this.
Yashoda. Yashoda saw the whole universe within the mouth of her child. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8 32-35. One day, while Krishna was playing with his small playmates, including Balram and other sons of the gopis, all his friends came together and loaded a complaint to Mother Yashoda. Mother, They submitted. Krishna has eaten earth. Upon hearing this from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yashoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, picked Krishna up with her hands to look into his mouth and chastise him. Her eyes fearful, she spoke to her son as follows: Dear Krishna, why are you so restless that you have eaten dirt in a solitary place? This complaint has been lodged against you by all your playmates, including your elder brother Balram. How is this? Lord Sri Krishna replied, My dear mother, I have never eaten dirt. All my friends complaining against me are liars. If you think they are being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Oh. Bhagavatam 10:836. Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna, challenged, if you have not eaten earth, then open your mouth wide. When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, the son of Nand Maharaj and Yashoda, to exhibit pastimes like a human child, opened his mouth, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is full of all opulences, did not disturb his mother. Parental affection. His opulence was automatically displayed, for Krishna's opulence is never lost at any stage, but is manifested at the proper time. Bhagavatam 10:837-39. When Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all moving, non-moving entities, outer space, and all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, and surfaces of earth and blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankar. She also saw the senses, the mind, sense perception, and the three qualities goodness, passion, and ignorance. She saw the time allotted for the living entity. She saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma. And she saw desires in different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving. Seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestations along with herself and Vrindavan Dham, she became doubtful and fearful to her son's nature. This is a very, very beautiful purport.
Yes. So this is the second time and third time from the Mahabharata. Let's read.
Krishna shows universal form in the count of in the court of Dhidashtar, taken from the Mahabharata, Part 1, Chapter 47, Veda Base, translated by Krishna Das. Krishna looked at Duryodhana. O Kaurava, out of folly, you think me to be alone and vulnerable, of one a small intellect. See, now as I show you the truth. Here all the Pandavas, the Varnashis, and the other Andhakas. Here too are the gods, the Adityas, Rudras, Vasus, and great rishis. Duryodhana could take no more. He jumped up and pointed at Krishna, seized him down. Seize him now. At once his soldiers began running into the hall from all the entrances with swords and bows at at the ready. They closed in on Krishna. Krishna laughed, and as he did, his body suddenly flashed like lightning. He began to grow in size, and various gods issued from him. Brahma sprang from his forehead, and Shiva from his chest. The Lokapalas sat on his arms, and Agni appeared from his mouth. Then Indra and the Marutus appeared along with hosts of Gandharva, Yakshas, and Rakshasa. From his two eyes came Balram and Arjuna, who stood on his left and right sides. Behind him stood Yudhishthir, Bhima, and the twins, and behind them were the Varnashis and the Adakshas, headed by Pradyumna. Krishna's mace, no, it says Pradyumna Krishna's mace. Did I say twins? Did I say and the twins? And behind them were the Varnashi and Adhaksa, headed by the Pradyumna. Krishna's mace, discus, and club weapons appeared, blazing brilliantly. His pores emanated light sparks and clouds of smoke. The sight was to frighten almost everyone in the assembly. Closed their eyes, only Bhishma, Drona, Vidur, and Sanjay were able to look upon Krishna as he manifested his universal form. How beautiful this is, Mataji.
Yeah, there is more to come. Let's read.
Um, the rishis also gazed upon him, folding their palms and offering prayers. The sky resounded with celestial drums, and flowers showered from the heavens into the hall. Sanjay described the event to the Yudhishthira, who said, "O Krishna, you are ever doing good to the world. Therefore it is right that you should bless me with the eyes to see your Brothers, I pray for your sight to see you. O Kuru leader, let your eyes have sight. Krishna replied, and immediately the Yudhishthira could see him. Standing within the great hall, he also saw numerous gods approaching Krishna and worshipping him with Vedic mantras. Outside the hall, a fierce wind blew. Huge waves moved over the ocean and thunder claps reverberated in the sky. The earth trembled. The hall was in a tumult. tumult. Krishna withdrew his mystical form and again assumed the two-armed form. Taking permission from the rishis, he left and hall the left the hall. He left the hall holding the hands of Satyaki and Kartavarma. The rishis headed by Narad rose from their seats and vanished, their minds astonished. Yudhishthira again became blind and he sat in silent amazement. As Krishna left, the Kuru followed him with folded hands like the gods followed Indra. Only Duryodhana and his ministers remained seated. They were struck with wonder and unable to do or say anything. Their plan to capture Krishna was obviously futile. Oh my god, how beautiful.
So this was the only time that Dhritarashtra could see. When Krishna manifested the universal form, he requested vision, and Krishna granted him sight so that he could see that universal form. So anyway, these are the three occasions when Krishna did display a universal form, but the universal form that he's going to display to Arjuna is different, and nobody has ever seen it before, Krishna says. Let's see what happens next.
इहैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नं पश्याद्य सचराचरं मम देहे गुडाकेश यच्चान्यद्द्रष्टुमिच्छसि.
O Arjun, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place.
So Krishna tells Arjuna that whatever you wish to see, behold in this, he tells him that in this one place you can see everything that you wish to see. Iha eka stham, in this one place, Krishna says. You can see everything that is moving and non-moving. Chara, achara, everything that is moving and non-moving, you can see where Mama Dehe, in my body, Krishna is saying. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport how Arjuna was able to see that which even a highly qualified person materially, a highly educated person, maybe somebody is a great scientist, maybe somebody is a great astronomer, even they cannot see what Arjuna was able to see on the strength of his devotion. In that one place, Krishna says, you can see whatever you desire to see now, and what you may want to see in the future, that also Krishna is going to show him. So in the future, Krishna actually is going to show Arjuna the battlefield and how everybody has died on the battlefield. Krishna is going to show Arjuna that also. So he's also going to show him the future. Therefore, he's telling him that now you will see what you desire to see, and whatever you may want to see in the future also, you can see in this one place. Iha Eka Stham. Let's read this.
Yes, Bhagavad 11.7. Arjun could see the entire universe, all moving and non-moving, sitting at one place. Even the most advanced scientists cannot see other parts of universe which a pure devotee could see so easily. Arjun could see past, present, and future, all what he wanted to see. Thus, Arjun will be shown the future destiny to all the relatives and warriors, and thus will be motivated to just become an instrument. Hare Krishna.
Let's read this nice article by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu.
We are usually disposed to flaunt our power and enjoy others submitting to us. Krishna's disposition transcends such egoistic drivers. Despite having the supreme power, he delights not in the display of his godhood, but in the intimacy of love. He knows that his loved ones will feel inhabitant, inhi- inhibited, inhibited in loving him intimately if they remain aware of his divinity. So, in his world of love, he conceals his supremacy and manifests in a finite, seeming human like form. Thank you so much to make this begin. And to invite all of us to his world. He descends to our world in that same form. During the pastimes here, he seems like us finite, but he can at will exhibit powers impossible for us. For example, Bhagavad Gita 11:7 reports how he, while seeming to be a person on a battlefield within the universe, demonstrated that the whole universe was within him, being the source of everything, including the fabric of time and space. He's never limited. Hare Krishna. Oh, okay. Even when Krishna is in the universe is still him. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next verse.
न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम् अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्.
But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence.
So now Krishna is going to give him divine eyes. He says, Dadami te chakshu. So Divyam Dadami te chakshu. So I have to give you divine eyes before he can show him the mystic form, the universal form. Now question, for Arjuna getting this Divya Chakshu is an upgrade or a downgrade?
It is a upgrade, but it could be a downgrade too, because downgrade in a way it made him fearful. He didn't want to see afterwards. He was getting frightened. Upgrade because it made him know the whole entire universe, what was coming in and out. And not only that, whoever reads Bhagavad Gita, they come to know that the entire nature is Krishna's body.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has a different perspective? Or an answer? What do you think? Upgrade or downgrade for Arjuna?
Only an upgrade. No?
Upgrade. Why?
Because with the divine eyesight, he could see Krishna, universal form.
Okay. Anybody else wants to give us their perspective? What do you think? Upgrade or downgrade?
Is it I think it's a downgrade because the two-handed form is the most intimate form, So he is now not seeing his friend Krishna, but a universal form.
Yeah,
That's
so Arjuna, with the eyes that he had, he was able to see the two-handed form of Krishna and also recognize, because Arjuna has already recognized Krishna as, he doesn't think that Krishna is an ordinary person. Arjuna already displayed that he knows this very well much before the war itself. When Arjuna made the choice, no, Krishna told him, you either get my army or you get me, and I'm not going to fight in the war. Still, Arjuna chose Krishna over his army. So that time itself, Arjuna displayed that he knows very well that Krishna is not an ordinary human being. So Arjuna is already a pure devotee. He's already a self-realized person. And now this universal form is again, as I said, it's not the most superior form of the Lord. The two-handed form is the most superior form of the Lord, which Arjuna is already seeing with the eyes that he already has. And a pure devotee is not interested in seeing the universal form because he cannot have an intimate relationship with that form. Therefore, for Arjuna, it's a downgrade. It's a downgrade because he doesn't want to see this terrible form. And Arjuna has accepted this downgrade for the sake of, we discussed the 4 reasons, no? Why Arjuna requests. So actually for Arjuna, it's a downgrade. He already was able to see Krishna in the two-handed form, in the superior form, and he already recognized that, yes, Krishna is not an ordinary human being. Okay. So let's read this to understand better.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur poses and then answers the following question. Why did Arjuna need Krishna's gift of divine eyes to see his universal form when he was already so qualified that he was able to see Krishna's supreme form? His two-armed form, Divya Chakshu, refers to the vision of a demigod who, although having devotion, possesses material desires, it is divine because it is far above the vision of an ordinary human. Although it cannot compare with the truly divine, love-saturated vision possessed by a pure devotee. Without Divya vision, an exalted devotee such as Arjun would have remained uninterested in the Lord's universal form. His consciousness was already always focused on Krishna in his two-armed form. Yashoda Devi, for example, while testing whether or not Krishna had eaten dirt, showed no interest whatsoever in Krishna's universal form. The universal form revealed to Yashoda did not contain the ghastly, destructive Kala Rupa aspects that Arjun will later see. Source, surrender unto me by His Holiness, His Grace, Prabhu Bhujarjan Das. The Lord gave Arjun the necessary power to see his universal form because he knew that Arjun did not practically want to see it. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with 2 hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with the spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjun is told not to change his mind, but his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important, yet because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Purport 11.8. Hare Krishna.
So Divya Chakshu is called divine because it is a vision higher than that of an ordinary human being. But Arjuna already had a vision even higher than that vision. And for Arjuna, it was a downgrade. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport of 11.8 that Arjuna is told not to change his mind because his mind, his mentality is that of a pure devotee. Only his vision he has to change, because with the current vision, the 100% pure devotee vision that he already has, he will not be able to see this universal form of the Lord, this material manifestation of the Lord. Okay, so there are 5 rasas or mellows with which a devotee interacts with Krishna. Actually, there are 7 secondary and 5 principal rasas: Shanta rasa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya rasa. Now, Shanta Rasa is when a devotee is reverential, very respectful to the Lord, but his relationship with the Lord is neutral in the sense that he is not rendering active service to the Lord. Examples are plants, animals, streams, etc. So yes, if Krishna goes and plucks an apple from the tree, or he's bathing in the river, they are rendering service, but the service is not, it's not that they are actively rendering service. In Dasya Ras, the devotee is actively running errands for Krishna. So the example for Dasya Ras would be Hanuman, how he is running errands for Lord Ramachandra. Whatever Lord Ram wants, Hanuman just runs to fulfill that service. Sakhya Ras is when a devotee is relating to the Lord as a friend. Vatsalya Ras, when a devotee relates to the Lord as a parent. So Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, they are in Vatsalya Ras with Krishna. Madhurya Ras, conjugal, romantic mood. The gopis of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, they have Madhurya Rasa with Krishna. Now these rasas, as they move from Shanta Ras to Madhurya Ras, the intimacy is increasing more and more. Of course, the most intimate relationship is what one has with the lover, and that is Madhurya Rasa. Little less than that is with the parent, little less than that is with the friend, little less than that is with the servant, and less than that is Shanta Rasa, in neutrality. So as we go from up to down, the intimacy increases. Now, in which rasa of these five is Arjuna?
What was your question?
In which of these five rasas is Arjuna with Krishna?
Oh, Sakhya.
Sakhya Rasa, friend,
Sakhya
yes. They have been joking together. They've been sitting together in the same bed. They eat together. So the relationship that Arjuna shares with Krishna is that of friend. But we will see how Arjuna's rasa will change when he sees the universal form. That's why we say that it's a downgrade for him. Okay, let's go to Sanjaya's description of the universal form. Let's see what happens in 9.
Sanjaya Uvacha Evamuktva tato rajan Mahayogeshwaro Harihi Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Rupamaishwaram.
Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna.
So as we discussed in the beginning of the class, Sanjaya's, this is the only place where Sanjaya makes his appearance in the middle of the Gita. He speaks in the first 2 chapters and then in the 18th chapter. In the middle, this is the only place where he makes his appearance. And he begins to describe to Dhritarashtra that which he is seeing. So what is he saying? O king, after having spoken thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power. So by what name is Sanjaya referring to Krishna in this?
Vishwarupa.
Vishwarupa?
Hari.
What?
Hari.
Mahayogeshwaro.
Mahayogeshwar. Yes, Mahayogeshwar. Arjuna called him Yogeshwar. Sanjaya is calling him Mahayogeshwar. So Sanjaya is stressing even more on the point that Krishna is the master of all mystic power. So then he says that, then he displayed this to Arjuna. So Sanjaya also has a special vision that was granted to him by whom? Who gave Sanjaya the power to see?
Vedyas.
Yeah. What is the relationship between Sanjaya and Vyasadeva?
Guruji.
Yes, he is his disciple. But Vyasadeva originally wanted to give this vision to whom?
Dhritarashtra.
Yes, originally Vyasadeva wanted to give this vision to Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra refused to accept it because he said that all my life I have been blind. Now at the end of my lifetime, I don't want to see this war and see the death of my loved ones. So he said, I don't want, please don't give me this vision. So then Vyasadeva gave the vision to Sanjaya so that Sanjaya can explained what is going on to Dhritarashtra. Now, what is the relationship between Vyasadev and Dhritarashtra? Why he wanted to give him the vision? What is the relationship between them?
What is the relationship between who?
Between Vyasadev and Dhritarashtra.
Father and
Father and son.
Yes, Vyasadev is the biological father of Dhritarashtra.
Yes.
But he is considered to be the son of whom? Dhritarashtra is considered to be the son of whom? Although Vyasadeva is his biological father, he is said to be the son of.
Any guesses? Like, can you give us a clue?
Who is this lady in the picture? Who can identify her?
Is it the one of the three sisters?
Yes, one of the three
Ambika,
sisters.
Ambalika. I
Amba.
don't remember which one.
Not Amba. She's not Amba.
it's Ambalik.
Not Ambalika. Who's left?
Ambika.
Ambika. Yes, Ambika. So Ambika united with Vyasadev upon the request of Satyavati, upon the request of her mother-in-law, because there was no heir to the throne. Her sons died prematurely, and there was no one who's going to sit on the throne. And Bhishma Dev had taken the vow of being a brahmachari all his life. So the Shastras permit that if the elders give this instruction, then the woman is allowed to unite with the brother of her husband in order to bear in her womb the next king. So this is what happened. Satyavati called for her son from before marriage, Vyasadev, because technically now Vyasadev is the brother of her son. Who is Dhritarashtra's father? Not biological father. He is considered to be the son of. That name we didn't discuss. It starts with a V.
It starts with what?
With a V.
V.
Yes.
Can you give us some clues and guesses?
Naresh, do you know the name?
I have it on my tongue, but
Yeah, I know you know.
Is his name Vikram?
No.
it's
V.
Vi-
Vichi.
Vichitra.
Vichitra
Vichitra.
Virya.
Vichitra Virya. Yes, Vichitra Virya. So Dhritarashtra is the son of Vichitra Virya and Ambika. And then Vyasadev was requested by Satyavati to unite. And when she saw Vyasadev, because Vyasadev was doing tapasya, penance in the forest, and he was all dirty, dusty, his body was all covered with dust. So, and when Ambika saw him like this, she was very scared, very surprised that she has to unite with this kind of a person. So she closed her eyes, and that's the reason why Dhritarashtra was born blind. So anyway, Vyasadev is the biological father of Dhritarashtra, and that's the reason why he wanted to give him this divine vision. But upon refusal, then he gave it to Sanjaya. Okay, so now let's see what more does Sanjaya describe.
अनेकवक्त्रनयनम् अनेकाद्भुतदर्शनम् अनेकदिव्याभरणम् दिव्यानेकोद्यतायुधम् दिव्यमाल्याम्बरधरम् दिव्यगन्धानुलेपनम् सर्वाश्चर्यमयं देवम् अनन्तं विश्वतोमुखम्.
Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding.
Okay, now in these two verses, how many times the word divyam is used? Or divya?
How many times you're asking Divya was used in the verse?
Yes, in these two verses.
4.
3 times.
3.
Four times.
I see four.
Four. Yes, 4 times. The word Divya appears 4 times here because Sanjaya is describing how the garlands, the garments, the aromas, the fragrances, the weapons, the ornaments, they are all there in that universal form. How many times the word Aneka is used in these 2 verses?
3 times.
3 times, yes, 3 times, thrice. Why? Because he is focusing on the fact that all these ornaments, weapons, garlands, garments, aromas, fragrances, they are all several, Aneka. Many of them are there. So see how Sanjaya is focusing that they are all Divyam and they are Aneka. Several of them are there.
दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपदुत्थिता यदि भासदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः.
If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form.
Usually when there is a divine vision, words are not sufficient to describe what one is seeing. It's impossible to describe such a divine vision. But still Sanjaya, he's giving an analogy. He's explaining to Dhritarashtra to aid his understanding and also aid our understanding by saying that the radiance that is coming from this universal form is like the radiance that would emanate from hundreds of thousands of suns if they were all to rise at one time in the sky. That kind of radiance is being emanated from the universal form. So see how Sanjaya is aiding our understanding of the universal form. Otherwise, it's impossible to describe such a vision.
तत्रैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नं प्रविभक्तमनेकधा अपश्यद्देवदेवस्य शरीरे पाण्डवस्तदा.
At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many thousands.
So what Arjuna saw was not only this universe, but he's seeing many universes of different sizes and compositions. All of these things he's seeing situated on his chariot. Again, Tatra Eka Stham, in that one place, sitting on a chariot, Arjuna was able to see all these things.
ततः स विस्मयाविष्टो हृष्टरोमा धनञ्जयः प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं कृताञ्जलिरभाषत.
Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord.
So see, Arjuna's rasa with Krishna before this was that of friendship. Now Arjuna is bewildered and astonished. His hair is standing on end. He is bowing his head down and offering obeisances. So now the relationship has become formal. Immediately there is reverence and the intimacy, that much intimacy now is not there in the relationship. So the relationship has become more formal. He's offering obeisances and he's offering prayers with his folded hands. So you see how Arjuna's rasa has now changed. Here is a list of the 12 varieties of rasa. There are 5 principal which we already saw before and 7 secondary rasas. So Arjuna's rasa has changed from friendship to wonder because he's wonderstruck. He's bewildered and astonished. So therefore Arjuna, his rasa has changed from friendship to that of wonder. Again, it is a downgrade for Arjuna. After this, we will see Arjuna himself starts to describe what he is seeing. So this next section we will see in the next class. Shri Srimad Bhagawad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. H.G. Srinam Mataji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Jai Gauranga. Thank you, Mataji, for your association and blessing. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining and being a part of this class. Thank you so much.
Today it felt like the class ended really quickly.
It ended quickly?
Yeah, it seemed
Like
like, yeah, it
gone
ended
for
so
a
quickly
couple more
today.
hours.
Yeah,
And it ended
we've gone for 1.5 hours. We did 14 shlokas. We did 14 shlokas and we did the Falashruti also.
It
So
felt like it ran out
We
like
are so hungry, Mataji. We need more and more food
Yeah.
from you.
Y'all are very advanced. Y'all are very
No.
for Krishna's nectar. So that's very nice. Enthusiasm is a quality of a Vaishnava. So Jai, all glory for all of you. Thank you so much.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhamma Pranam. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your sincere seva.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, so I want to say
know,
that next Saturday we will not have class because I have my home program. So therefore I will see you in 15 days from now. Next Saturday is also Ekadasi in Chile, also in India. I don't know how it is in the US. I think it's also on the same day, Saturday.
One day before, after. We usually have one day after India.
Okay. No, this time it's even Chile. Normally there is 1 day difference, but sometimes it falls on the same day. So this coming Saturday is Ekadasi in Chile as well as in India. Probably in your place also you have to check the Vaishnava calendar. And Sunday is the appearance day of Vamana Dev. So we fast till 12 noon on Ekadasi because then on Sunday we will break the Ekadasi fast. No, so we cannot fast. So Saturday 12 noon till 12 noon we fast for Vamana Dev. After that, regular Ekadasi fast. So then we get the blessings of Vamana Dev along with the Ekadasi blessings. Srila
Yes,
Prabhupada.
Mataji, you're right. I just checked the calendar. 26th is Ekadashi, Saturday coming in.
Saturday, yeah, okay. So
Sunday also we fast till noon, right?
Yes, Saturday 12th fasting till noon. Yes.
No. Saturday is the. Sorry, you said there was a. Saturday is Ekadashi, right?
Saturday 12th. This month, next Saturday.
So we open at 12 noon.
Yeah, 12 noon till 12 noon is complete fasting for Vamana Dev. And after 12 noon, we have Ekadasi Prasad, non-grain Prasad.
So that day we cannot have any beans and all that all day, right?
Yeah, yes, true.
Saturday all day. Sunday we can do.
Sunday we break the fast. Yeah, Sunday we break the fast by having grain Prasad within the time window. No, there is a time window. It's important to break the fast within the same time. Breaking the fast within the time window is as important as keeping the fast itself. So that will be on the 13th.
13th?
Okay. All right.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Yes, confusion. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you all very much. Have a nice week. Nice Ekadasi. I will see you in 15 days from now. Thank you all very much.
You too as well,
Thank you.
Mataji.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Dhamma Pranam.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Koti Koti Dandavat
Someone
Pranam.
wanna do the Vancha Kalpatarubhasya?
Yeah, you sing better.
Mataji, I don't remember the whole words. Can you sing
Vancha
another?
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Ananta Vaishnavanda ki jai. Namacharya Das Thakur ji ki jai. Guru Shri Prabhupada
And
ki jai. Mataji ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you all
Dandavat
very much.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.